Afternoon, everybody. It's nice to be doing this and it's still daylight outside. Weather's changed. Welcome, guests. Before we have these meetings, we do something called clearing. And in clearing, we kind of get ourselves set. Yeah, good. We set ourselves up to, if you think of clearing like this, it's a way of getting in the moment, being present in the moment, noticing what may be hanging over from the past, any concerns about the future. And I was saying to Jill, yesterday, I had a thought about this session when I was preparing it, and a thought of dread. Like a thought of, what am I going to say to these people? Now, it's not usually something I have a problem with those of you who know me. But it wasn't that I can't get in front of people and talk. I mean, been doing it for years, haven't we? We've all done it for years, talking in front of people. But it was, what am I going to say that's really going to bring the conversation and collaboration forward? Because this session is entitled Expanding Collaboration. And we're using contribution as a form of expanding collaboration. And there's no one out there that really knows. There's not really an authority on this as such. There isn't. Part of what we're talking about is emerging consciousness. And emerging consciousness means we're pushing boundaries. We're experimenting, we're stretching, we are trying stuff out, testing things. And in a world where we want to fix and survive, people want the answer. How invested are we? I mean, Philip just asked, where are you going with this? Nowhere, Philip. We're not going anywhere with it. We're right here with it. David and I and the team or the group were exploring, what does fun mean to us? And how do we instill fun in the culture and the values and the experience of being part of this community? How does that look? How does it operate? How do we get the most out of each other? How do we make collaboration something that can transform the planet or our experience as human beings? So I'm sitting on my sofa yesterday contemplating, what am I going to say to a bunch of people that I've known for quite a while, some of them for in depth. How do I make that of value? And I think that is a very honourable concern to have. And I think I've understood about comedians or performing artists is that if you don't feel sick before the event, you're probably not as invested in it as you could be. If I turned up here like I had it all worked out and all sorted and polished, I don't think it would be BeCollaboration. That would be something else. I want Colin to go home tonight with something really baffling him, or an opportunity. Like he saw something. You ever been in a dark room and the door opens and light comes in and it shuts again? You know, you just saw something and it's got your attention. I wanted that for you today. And that was my concern last night, sitting on the sofa working on this. And this as the power of my contribution. Because I don't take any of this lightly. You could argue this is not a very big room. You could argue it's a great room. You could argue. But for me, there are people with lives and commitments. That's why you're here. And you know, just doing that exercise that Andrew asked us to do earlier, I just got something about how aligned we are, Simon. When we're at our best, we're very similar. It's kind of no accident you're here and I'm here. So, earlier on, Jill talked about this paradigm out there in the world, one of fear, scarcity and competition. And most of what I've seen in the world of personal development, training, fitness, health, anywhere where we're trying to make a better world is almost, for me, is like an antidote or a surviving of the fear, scarcity, competition paradigm. Make more money, be happy. Get fit, be healthy, get the girl, get the guy, have the energy, do all the things you want to do. It's like we're constantly being sold something we don't have, so if we had that, we could survive within this paradigm. The one of fear, scarcity, competition. And then Be Inspired program, which I was sharing with Simon, I talk about, well, why do we have a paradigm of fear, scarcity and competition? Why is that the way it is? Or at least we're observing it that way. We're sold, if you don't buy this, this will happen to you. We're told if you don't do this, this will happen to you. You don't pay your parking ticket on time, you don't get your tax return on time, you don't do this, you don't do that, you bounce a check, this happens, it's all fine, fine, fear, fear, fear. Fear is really a powerful tool that's being used upon us as a species. Think about how you discipline your children. If you don't do this, this will happen. You know, you'll blurt this stuff out and you don't even know you're doing it. Who here's done something like that with their kids in the last 24 hours?
20 minutes.
20 minutes. So we have a high propensity to fear. We've been stimulated around fear a lot. Of course, and that will create an uncertainty of scarcity. There's not enough to go around and competition. And in the Be Inspired program, I talk about the education system, the money system, media, government. Hasn't government got more and more pervasive in all our lives? Someone said this to me a little while ago, about 3 years ago. Tax laws in England used to be 70,000 pages. And there's something like 700, 1 million pages of tax code written now. Really? Do we need that much code to pay something towards what should make our society more, you know, fairer and take care of the roads and all the things we think our government should do? And in my view of this, studying it for the last how many years, 20, 30 years, is there's an impact. And this fear, scarcity, competition paradigm leaves us, well, dispersed, atomized, separated. You know, if you're in a class with a load of other kids, they're your competition. The way the grades go, only certain people can get A's. A's. B's, C's. You're graded and diced and sliced throughout our whole life. You know, there's this experience that we have. Who here has been in corporate and come out into this world and noticed how diluted you were in that world? Like really, nobody really knew how great you were and what you were passionate about. They didn't really care about that. They just want you to do your, I think you used to say about, you notice, we only spoke for 5 minutes, but like you were most mediocritized. You were brought down to the medium of who you really wanted to be.
Yeah, because they wanted everybody to be a fully rounded consultant and therefore was expected to have competencies across the entire spectrum.
Well, isn't that diluted?
You know, and I just said...
Don't sorry, no. Yeah. And here we are pioneering a community where we're starting to pull and attract people together. Oh, you're like me, or I'm like you. Well, there's got to be some way we can find something to create that didn't exist prior to us coming together. So our approach at BeCollaboration has been one of the power of three. One, get 3 people together, get that 3D view of a challenge, opportunity or problem, bring the skills of those 3 people from their different unique perspectives and create something that would not have existed. You know, and Colin and I were talking in the break and he said, you know, people think collaboration is help me get to do what I want to do. No, collaboration is we end up with something we couldn't have done on our own. Then we all own it. We're all responsible for it. But in fear, scarcity, competition, you can't do that. Because someone wants to be in control, someone wants to own it, and someone wants to say how it's going to go. Anyone know people like that? Or the people that behave that way?
Well, basically what I'm trying to do in my business is to get people to stop doing that. It's really, really tough.
So attracting people to share knowledge and build relationships was something that we were very passionate about in this community. Why, Philip? David is sharing and doing something around core value. Isn't just about the exercise of core value, it was also giving David some time in front of the room with people. Because he hasn't had much of that time yet. So I said to Jill, would you put David in front of the room today? I asked. And it's her choice, but she chose David. Why? Because when David comes to the room and works with us in the inquiry, he's now bringing... Has anyone drawn what he did the way he did it ever before? I've never seen anyone do it like that. Not quite like that. So you contributed something today. You gave a gift. It wasn't just get up there with some markers and talk about fun, because you didn't really know what you were doing, did you?
No.
And I like that, because then it's an exploration. If I'm going to come up here and tell you what's fun, okay everyone, I'm in charge, this is fun, and if you're doing this, you're having fun. And if you're not, you're not. I'm the expert. So we use terms like specialist, we use terms like talent. And I think I saw something about David that I hadn't seen before. Did anyone else see something about David? Do you notice David's humour? Yeah. Yeah? No? I did. Like a dry kind of humour about it. And I'm like, well, that's interesting, because we're going to be doing some stuff together soon. So that I'm interested in that. And as we attract those people, as they come in together, we start to build a community, a common unity. And those core values and the vision mission statement, that part of the vision mission statement Jill read at the beginning was about aligning us as individuals, that uniqueness that we are as individuals, but aligning us through core values, commitment and understanding, or willingness to explore. You know, so what we get in these meetings is more than just directive knowledge. I'm the expert, I'm going to tell you how to do this. No, what we got earlier on was someone sharing their life story, and who didn't get something out of that? I did, and I've heard it a few times. And I've heard things about you that kind of made me, oh, I didn't quite get that last time. So I think you're revealing more than you probably have previously. Probably. So as this community, as these human beings come together, and we're putting them in the room together, there's some people for the first time here, they think, oh, this is a bit weird, or you may love it, you may have your opinions, we'd love to hear. New members, veterans, people we've known for decades, Jackie Perkins. And we put them in a room, and we say, let's talk, let's share ideas, let's contribute to each other. So when you go home tonight, you've got something that you want to get home, and there's an excitement about that knowledge or that insight that you can go away and start grappling with, exploring, honing. And I bet you the people at the front of the room are learning as much about it as the people in the audience, so to speak. You got probably more out of that than anybody here today, at a level. Because suddenly you're visible in a way you haven't been. I think that's the first time you've done this, right? On my first? Oh, you have done it before. Okay. And what I've been interested in is, what is it that builds a community? How do we get someone who's from the outside in and then connected within a group of people? Now, I hear words all the time, don't we? We hear it like safety. We hear it's safe here. People feel comfortable, authentic, open to explore. It can be this way, it could be that way. We can start in the conversation. It doesn't have to be all worked out because I need to impress you. It gives us space. But what I'm finding in contribution is those bonds start to happen. Who here, collaborators, you're already building bonds with people you haven't known that long? Yeah? I mean, I've seen a massive shift in you, and every time it's all Nick Horton this, Nick Horton that. I'm getting kind of jealous.
We met at the Engage meeting, and we've probably met face to face once a month since then, and it just clicked.
There's more than just
Synergy of values, but there's a synergy of products, there's a synergy of goals, ambitions.
You also said something. There comes a point where you can't go any further until you start to work out where your skills really lie. Like I've got to
understand his.
And he's got to understand yours.
Yeah, you can't, and I've known that for you, because of what we do at House of Colour, I've known that for years.
Of course you have.
Unless people understand how colour and style relates to them, they can't promote it.
That's an example of it though, isn't it? That's an example. So Andrew today sharing core purpose with us is a way of us bonding with him and understanding who he is, what motivates him, what his skills are.
But if you're gonna, it's more than that, because if I'm going to collaborate with you, I have to understand how your product relates to me. Otherwise, I can't even promote or refer your product with much credibility if I haven't experienced the value for myself. If I've experienced the value, then kapow.
So in the fair scarcity competition was, I'm going to give you my stuff for free. We've had people say that. I'm like, well, how am I going to really understand what you're about unless I sample you and you sample my stuff? So the 9 knowns, the genius slots, the core value slots are us way of finding out more about each other. And slowly, as we do that, as we share that, and new people come into the community, those contributions start to bond us, start to give us more. You were a stranger to me, Simon, only a month ago, yeah? Some bloke that turned up at one of our meetings, yeah?
Yeah.
Through, what, 1 month? Is it 1 month? 5 weeks?
Yeah.
Because it's the second Surrey meeting, right? So 5 weeks. 5 weeks, we've done I've done a orientation with you, and then really this last 10 minutes together through the exercise, I got a connection with you that if I'd have met you at a bus stop or I'd met you somewhere out, I would never have got that level of insight. That you and me are more than just people that happen to have similar interests. There's a kindredness about it.
There's something more than that Nick and I have both observed, is there's an initial connection, and if we follow it, we discover it's much bigger and much more of an overlap than we could ever have imagined. Or we discover, oh, that's no wonder we clicked, because your core value, my core value, etc. There's an overlap.
Bingo. So I looked up contribution, and there's a couple of bits that really stuck out for me, but what I got from looking up contribution is that contribution is about adding something to the cause. In fierce scarcity competition, you want to take something. You know, who's been to a networking meeting and someone's, hello, I'm Erkan, here's my card. I'm a coach, really good coach.
It's painful, isn't it?
It is painful.
It's horrific.
It is painful, but that's survival, right? But in contribution, you're putting something in. You're putting something into the value the community is creating. And everybody here has done something that is adding to the value of the community. It only has value because we're here. No one's doing anything to you. Andrew isn't representing BeCollaboration, nor was David. It was just Andrew representing his insight that he wants to share with us, his best dish. So one metaphor we use about the community is, this is a big picnic, bring your best stuff, put it in the middle. Anyone been to a big picnic? So I'm going to talk about galif, right? And I thought I'd give you a really simple example of I've seen picnic galif. Galif is I don't even know if it's Turkish, it might be Greek, but it's a word that describes a kind of shanty thing that covers you from the sun, okay? And a galif is now, what it actually means is, it's a place where a load of people get together, and my cousin Kudret spends certain amounts of time a year in Cyprus, and my background is Turkish Cypriot. And he told me about this galif. I said, what does it work? He said, well, just everyone turns up, and he couldn't really explain what was going on, but it was very simple. And what it is, these guys and friends have built this kind of hut by the sea, and they all turn up with food and drink. And the people bring whatever it is they want to eat or drink, and nobody's keeping score. And they just put the stuff down, and someone will cook, someone else will do washing, someone else will, I don't know, bring the water and top up the water, someone else will clean up, and it just all gets done. Like a co-created collaboration, and nobody's really in charge. You know, there's got to be some parameters set, you know, time and a place, and the facilities have been set up by somebody, but what happens in it is quite remarkable. And do you know what the main intention is of the whole thing? Is to have fun. They laugh, they talk, they drink, and there's a little insult they do to each other. You sound really tired, you should go and lay down for a bit. And people go off and have a nap for half an hour and then come back. And we're there all day, indulging. And it is one of the best things I've ever done. And nobody's in charge, nobody's telling you what to do. You eat as much as you want, you drink as much as you want, you fall asleep when you want. And everyone has their kind of favourite bit. I want to kind of bring this, kind of reminding me of Ubuntu. And Ubuntu says, I am what I am because of who we are. I am what I am because of who we are. So I get to experience myself because of who we are. I get to contribute that, and in turn Colin expresses and creates who he is in this community. So there's this contribution. Like if we all bring our best dish and put it down on the floor, on the basket, sorry, on the blanket, we all take what we are attracted to right now. And I can get in Simon right now, he's sitting here today, I'm supposing this time because I don't know, how I can take as much as I can and apply the lessons of collaboration to something I really care about. Because you want to make a bigger impact in the world of health and fitness and well-being, right? And we're saying here is if I share my best stuff, you better use it, you better take it away and apply it. If Andrew said anything today that was of value to you, is honour him by making the most of it. Anybody who opened their mouth today and shared something, take it, use it, apply it. It's a contribution, it's a gift. How do gifts work?
But to be fair, what I would add to that is you're only going to be able to take what you're ready to take.
Yeah.
And you'll hear, if Andrew did this call every month for the next 6 months, you'd hear it differently.
Yes, and also you probably get a different, I saw a different Andrew today, again. And I know every person here that's been a member, I've seen them transform before our eyes. So we're contributing the gift. And the thing with gifts are, there's no conditions. In the world of fierce scarcity competition, everything's conditional. Step over the line, you get fined. Don't do this. What about if I share my best stuff and Philip nicks it? No, I'm saying this is my best stuff, Philip. It's as good as it gets. Take it, use it.
Make it better.
Make it better. Let me know how you get on. I don't know if that's possible, is it?
Not with you.
So Ubuntu is one way of looking at this idea of contribution. And if you look up, there's a movement called the Ubuntu movement, and they use the term contributionism. But I use the word contribution within the New Vision and Mission is to know your gifts and the gifts of others. I'll tell you, we've all got so much to offer. Everything we're doing is having some outcome. How we sit, how we stare, how we look at someone, how we give someone a nod of encouragement. How we yawn at the back of the room going, okay, get on with it. No, I'm just mate. I know, it's not all about me. Jill, how long have I got? 10. I'm nearly done. So what am I sharing the making of a movement? I think every new member should read the book. Not just once, maybe 2 or 3 times. A new member at the moment is reading it in Amsterdam. And he's sending us little group notes about the journey and what our hopes and aspirations are for this community and how it came about. And what we've gone through with people that were involved in the early days. And some of the philosophies and the science and the studies and the principles behind what we are out to achieve in terms of collaborating to create a world we couldn't create on our own. Otherwise you don't need to. There's loads of things you can do, you don't need anybody. Go do those things. They're fine, do them. But there's loads of things you can't do beyond a certain point without others. You know, going back to that Ubuntu quote. And the reason I'm showing you making of the movement book is, if you strip away a book, what is it? It's paper, it's writing, and but you strip away all of that, what is it? It's the information. It's the information that we want. I've heard 2 things lately. What's this new app? Is it called Blinkist? Blinkist? Yeah, is that where they condense books to the main abstractions? And I remember listening to a speaker a few years ago, and he said, I don't read books. And I went, don't read books. And he said, no, I just phone the author, and I say, give me 10 minutes, and they explain to me the principles of the book, and I've got it. Because that's really what we want, is the information, the insight. You know who that was, don't you? Anyway, I won't say. So collaborators, a big contribution that has been made to your life, to your value in this community is in that book. The quest is a big contribution. Every BeCollaboration meeting is a co-created contribution. The podcast is a contribution. The Be Inspired program is a contribution. Every time someone gets up and does a 9BNO Genius Lock core value is a contribution. We are surrounded with gifts that add up to the value of the community. And for me, collaboration and community is predicated on those gifts. And Jill showed this earlier on. When we think about context, can you see how context is firmly set here? Who gets that? Context is really clear here. Right? Context is so palpable here, it's something that we talk about over and over and over and over again. In fact, it's in the name, BeCollaboration. Who are we going to be today? Who are we being? Yesterday, I had a concern, a stomach-turning concern, will I provide value today? What am I going to bring that's going to make that difference? I really, like as a leader, why am I here otherwise? I'm not here to sell you anything. But as a leader, and as you as your leader, do you get to the point where it's gut-wrenching for you to draw that next level of value? I tell you, every orientation I do, Simon, takes something more out of me than I knew I had. That book, Jill, did it take more out of you than you knew you had? Did you give us more than you knew you had? Colin, have you given more than you knew you had at the front of the room? That's the contribution of a community. So context is key, right? Context is key. Context shapes our thinking, the questions we ask, the way we view the world, what it is and isn't possible. And the reason we use the butterfly is, you know, it's an example of the transformation from the caterpillar to the butterfly. Caterpillar has certain abilities, certain possibilities that the butterfly just takes to a whole new paradigm. So we're working to transform that paradigm of fear, scarcity, competition to one of love, connection, abundance. Like, we can't come back to fear, scarcity and competition. It's a choice. But context alone is not enough, is it? We could all sit here and dine out on context. Oh, yeah, it was really good what you said, and I really got that, and that was it. But somewhere along the line, we've got to do some stuff. Because it's in action, inspired, shaped by, motivated by context where we produce breakthrough results. It is pick up the phone and say, hey David, I'm sorry, I had a da-da-da-da with you the other day. It is where you pick up the phone and phone that big company or that big organisation that you'd love to work for but you don't think you're good enough. Pick up that phone, make that phone call. It is having the courage to put people together and think, God, how's this going to work out? Jill and I do it all the time. And sometimes you don't know. You don't know what we're going to do next Friday at the finance meeting. But no one takes action, nothing happens. There's no result. There's no result. So when you think about love, connection, abundance, really, love, connection, abundance shapes how you drive, how you talk to people, how you welcome people, how you hold yourself. Love, connection, abundance means we let people go in traffic. Oh no, after you. And if we look at fear, scarcity and competition as about survival, I'm not going to let you go in front of me. I've got to get somewhere. I ain't got enough time. And I've got to compete for that next bit of tarmac in front of me, because if you get in front of me, that makes me, I'm going to be later. I'm in competition, I'm in fear. I mean, survival. And that way of living impacts our health, impacts what's possible, impacts the planet. The level of contribution, there's love, connection, abundance, and what it brings is the opportunity to thrive. I know what I know about Jackie and Nick Horton, Jackie Perkins, Nick Horton, is there's no way in the world those two people would have met to be doing what they're doing today.
No way.
They're worlds apart. When I started seeing them two hanging out, I'm like, what's going on here? What have we created?
But it's perfect.
But it's perfect.
There's not a lot of overlap in the skills, so we complement each other.
And the thing is, no one told you to do it. It was like, you, me, yeah, we could, bam, 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 bam. We were on the phone for 2.5 hours. With Nick Horton,
Yeah.
and Nick Horton with you, right? So the whole thing's just crazy, it's brilliant.
Man.
And there's people who are connecting, and there's this dynamic, spontaneous way of people coming together and creating opportunities if they only have the courage to just step out and say, hey, what are we going to do about the finance team? See, you are in big trouble now, you know that, don't you?
It'll be an interesting conversation.
It is, it will be, it will be. So I'm going to invite you, not to share these with me now, but look, if all you got was the value of the context of this information, it'd be great. But I'm inviting you, what new actions could you take on? Even if you've got something in the pipeline already, prepare for it at the level of love, connection, abundance. Prepare for it as you at your best. This is the best I've got, guys. This is it. I haven't got anything left in reserve. I haven't got anything hidden in the back. Go, there you go, boom. No, this is it. This is it. This is all I got. Or this is as much as I got. See, we hold back when we live in fear, scarcity, economies. We hold something back. Don't hold back. It's going to take us giving it all, and as far as we can go, to make that difference, to make the impact we know we can make. Make the contribution, because you know, before you know it, who's had someone die in the last 6 months in their life? It's gone forever. How many people's lives have changed fundamentally in a way that will never go back again in the last 6 months? You've got to play with the cards we've got now, and take those actions. Choose the best actions in love, connection, abundance. And that's my invitation around contribution. When you're thinking to hesitate not to, do it. That's my invitation. And the new value that we've added to the vision mission is contribution, acknowledging the gifts of self and others. You've got abundance of gifts. You just don't play that way. We don't even want to tell people how great we are at anything. Who found that exercise earlier on a little bit challenging? Well, I'm going to sit for 5 minutes and tell people how great I am. It's a bit weird. No, actually, we should be doing more of that. Thank you for that, Andrew. So that's it. That's me. I think I'm on time. Jill? Thank you very much.